الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على قيد المرسل محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Dear beloved believers, I greet all of you Muslim believers. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We wanted to take our time without taking a lot of time for this Jumah. And as has been said, hindsight is 20/20. But I wanted to remind all of us about what happened in the United States on last night. If I give a quiz, you say, I know what happened last night, Imam. That's okay. I don't have a $10,000 check to give you. But I want to caution all of us in this blessed time, really, actually, to rethink what some of us have allowed to creep into our habits. And could you turn that fan on right there, Charles? And that fan over there. And also, so if I ask you, Brother Jared, what happened in the United States last night? You don't have to answer me. But I'll tell you, it was a so-called holiday for people, popular holiday. You know what I'm saying? Last night, the gremlins and the goblins and all of that stuff taking place.
Was Halloween?
You know, the jack-o'-lanterns and the people moving around in the darkness and coming out of darkness, and you know, that's not our way, period. And you know that. You know that. But I wanted to just read something to remind us and ask us to remember Surah An-Nas, you know. So it was something that was handed to me, and it was something that I thought was very important, because sometimes it's easy to rock people to sleep. Not the believers, not people who really are strong in their belief. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about others, not you. If you're strong in your faith, I know you don't have to be reminded about anything like this. I already know that. But be patient with me, because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he did not want to see anyone stray away from his flock. He loved himself some Muslims. He loved the believers, and he loved to share with the believers what he would think that, you know, would keep all of the believers together. And as we have said 100 million gazillion times, I would guess, at this lecture, Yadallahi ala Jama'. The hand of Allah is on the group. And sometimes, and as the Prophet said, the wolf devours the sheep that strays away from the flock. So if the person is not in the group, even in his or her mind, your mind or my mind may be straying from the group's mind or the Quranic thinking. So if that's happening, then Shaitan has been given an opportunity to devour the intelligence of the person. The intelligence or the mind is like a man. The mind is like a man. The man walks and the mind walks. The man runs and the mind runs. So he doesn't have to be really actually running or walking for his mind to be walking. So one of the tragedies of our times is found in the easy willingness for some Muslims to accept practices, rituals, and cultures and cultural symbols that have their roots in demonic or cultic practices. So-called Halloween is a perfect example of that. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Most scholars trace the origin of Halloween to the pagan Celtic people who believed that on a certain night the dead would come alive and could walk around among the living. And on this night, some of these people would dress up as ghoulish customs and ghoulish costumes, believing that the spirits of the dead would mistake them for one of their own and not harass them. Others would offer their spirits sweets in order to earn their good favor. This is the origin of the so-called Halloween and Halloween customs and the gifts of candy. You may say, Imam, why are you saying this in the Khutbah? I'm saying this in the Khutbah because we have weak-minded Muslims that want to be accepted by their peers, their friends, or their children's friends, want them to go along with them with a ritual that has its birth in foolishness, or I would even say its birth in Satanism. The birth of that is in Satanism. As for the hollowed out pumpkin, you know, Muslims buy those pumpkins too, astaghfirullah al-azim. For the hollowed out pumpkin with the candle inside of the jack-o'-lantern, the candle symbolizes a soul that has been trapped in it, or in purgatory. A state between heaven and hell. A state between heaven and hell. This is good information for those who weren't aware of the details of this too. I know you don't practice it, but the details of the behind it. Some say that the lantern is to ward off evil spirits. The darkness surrounding these practices is compounded by the representations of symbols rooted in the world in the cultish life of demons, such as witches, werewolves, vampires, and warlocks. So, cut to the chase, as Muslims, we have been enjoined to protect ourselves and our family members from the torment of the hellfire. And we should not invite ourselves or our children or our family toward the hellfire. Keeping ourselves far removed from such practices that not only have a basis in the teachings, does not have a basis in the teaching of our religion, but are in fact antithetical to these, opposite to these teachings, is a great way to start. May Allah bless us to steer our lives away from hellish lifestyles, whether it be Halloween, so-called celebrating the Christmas holiday. We respect the holiday of the customs of this country, but we do not participate in the deep belief that Jesus is the Son of God, and you know that. We say, Kul huwa Allahu ahad. Khalas. So may Allah bless us to see this truth. And may we have enough backbone to live up to our religion and to be able to ward off and shun those things, and also give hikmah, give wisdom to people who are still practicing this. Some Muslims among us say, oh, it's just candy, oh, it's just a small Halloween, it's just something to go run down the street, let the children get a little candy. Okay, all right, but subliminally, that child is going into a lifestyle or accepting a lifestyle of demonic behavior without them knowing. You've heard of subliminal seduction. What is subliminal seduction? Can you tell me? Tell me after the Jumah, inshallah. Subliminal seduction is when you accept something subconsciously, but you don't register it consciously. So as Muslims, we have to be careful about that. So alhamdulillah, the life is not gloomy. There are more believers in here than there are disbelievers. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. You should say alhamdulillah silently. Allahu Akbar. Walillah alhamd. So I want to mention this to you, and then sit down, and then get back up, and then the Jum'ah will be over. But this is something that I think that is good for us to end the first part of this khutbah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, أَفَحَسِبَ الَّذِينَ كَفَّرُوا أَنْ يَتَّخِذُوا عِبَادِي مِنْ دُونِ أولياء أَنَّا أَعْتَدْنَا جَهَنَّمَ لِلْكَافِرِينَ نُزُولًا. Yeah. Then, do those who disbelieve think that they can take my servants instead of me as allies? Check this out. Allah is cutting really close here. Because if a person is relying upon another person for their protection in this world, Allah Himself is calling that person out. Even though the person may be a believer that they're relying upon. You cannot rely upon, this is Allah speaking, not me. We cannot rely upon or hide under the shade of another man. Allahu Akbar walillahil hamd. We cannot rely upon or hide under the shade of another woman. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. We have to pay close attention that Allah is doing a surgical surgery. It is a specific surgery that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing, not only with our brain, our mind, but also with our hearts. He's going in with this ayah and He's saying, look, do you calculate أَفَحَسِبَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَنْ يَتَّخِذُوا عِبَادِي? Did you think that you could take my servant as someone to clothe you or hide you so that you wouldn't have to be responsible for your own soul? La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then He says, إِنَّا أَعْتَدْنَا جَهَنَّمَ لِلْكَافِرِينَ نُزُولًا. Instead of doing that, if you do that, certainly, إِنَّا أَعْتَدْنَا, we have prepared something for that person or those people or that generation. جَهَنَّمَ لِلْكَافِرِينَ نُزُولًا. We have prepared, and in another place it says that the Jahannam is a place of hospitality. You know how you go into a hotel, or you go to someone's home, or you go to a hotel in Funduk, and then the person up there in the front, in the vestibule, they say, oh, in the lobby they say, welcome, ahlan, ahlan. Well, Allah is saying, well, hell is going to say, ahlan huna, welcome here. And in another place it says that the hell will be spread out like the meadow is spread out. You know how the beautiful meadow is spread out. You're on the mountain, you're looking across the valley. Well, hell is the same way. But it's not that beautiful. That the person will be witnessing hell as spread out to welcome them to walk down into it. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. And isn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very artistic in how He, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, explains Jahannam. La ilaha illallah. May Allah bless each and every one of our souls, my soul, your soul, our family soul, children, wives and children, to be far away from this kind of place. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. And now that's one side. The other side of that are those people who are striving every day. You're striving to get up for that Fajr prayer. Allahu Akbar wa lillahil hamd. And Allah witnesses for some of you, I say some of you, but some of us who are older, Allah witnesses your bones popping when you get up in the morning. Yeah. Allah witnesses your tiredness, that you're tired, that you want to get up and stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Brothers and sisters, I've said this here before, I'm going to say this again. You have a good chance to go to heaven. You have a good chance to go to heaven. Why do I say that? Because you have all of the ingredients that should be put into your soul, into your heart, your mind, and in your actions. You have all of the ingredients that you need to trod this path in this world, even though you may be surrounded by chaos. So I'm saying to you, why not take the opportunity to take the medicine, to take the prescription that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us and say, look, later for all this too Muslim mentality. Crazy Muslim at night, or good Muslim in the day. Insane Muslim in the evening, on the weekend, just as crazy as everybody else out there in the world, acting a fool. And then come around on Friday, oh, today is the Jumah, you know we got to go to the Jumah prayer. Brothers and sisters, this is not a fad. This is not a fad. This is not something that is coming into the world and going out of the world. Al-Islam, the light of Allah, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Al-Islam is going to be in this world as long as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants Al-Islam in this world. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this blueprint so that I can look at the blueprint and say, okay, what do I need to change? Oh, my thinking is incorrect in that. Oh, I need to not send those children out to get candy on Halloween. God wants us to man up. He wants us to clean house, really. Really. He wants us to clean house. So if you haven't got that much manhood in you to make the change, then make the dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh Allah, I want to change. I got this habit. Oh Allah, bless me to be strong in that area. Oh Allah, I'm making dua that you help me to replace that bad habit with a good habit. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. That way, the community, brothers and sisters, is growing and changing for the better. And that crop that may have been turning yellow, like the crop of the season turns yellow, then that crop can be green all season long. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us, and He has prepared. He has prepared. He's promised us. Brothers and sisters, human beings promise us a lot. And some of them fulfill their promise. But in many cases, human beings break their promise with human beings. But Allah, inna wa'dallahi al-haqq. Certainly the promise of Allah is true. So depend upon Allah and remember the promise of Allah is true, even though there may just be a few human beings that keep their promise with you in this life. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So Allah in the Quran, He said, Inna alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati kanat lahum Jannatul Firdausi Nuzula. Indeed, meaning certainly, those who have believed. This is in the past tense, third person, past tense, masculine. Past tense. Meaning that you have already been believing in the past. And you're believing now, and inshallah, in the future, based upon your pattern, you will be believing in the future. Allahu Akbar wa lillahi alhamd. Here is the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran from Allah Himself. Inna alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati kanat lahum. Certainly for them, Jannatul Firdausi are the highest stations of Jannah. Oh, Imam, why are you hollering so loud? I can read the Quran for myself. This is my job. I'm doing my job as an Imam. I'm supposed to be reminding myself and reminding the believers. So the believers should not mind the Imam reminding them about that there has been a place prepared, not only here, but there's a whole nother dimension that we believe in other than here. When all of this is rolled up like a scroll, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, all of this that you see and that you don't see is going to be rolled up in a scroll, Allah says in the Quran, and put away. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to, He can create another whole creation without using anything from what we see and what we know now. Who Allah? He is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to believe in Allah, not the fictitious fantasies of the world, not the myths that people offer us. That here is the promise of Allah, those who believe and have done righteousness. You see that? You've been doing righteousness already and you know it, but you can't be overconfident about what you've done or what we've done. We've been doing good and we've been doing righteous deeds and all of these things. But all of that is still going on in Washington. Why are you doing all of this? What's the peril for you? Don't worry and don't grieve. No one knows your position and no one knows my position in this world even before we even inshallah go to the other side. But no one knows the position of the man that's having to sleep outside by the tree, by the trash can down in the park. You don't know his position. And you don't know her position. Only Allah knows that person's heart and that person's mind. Just because they're sleeping under the tree and just because they're homeless, that doesn't mean that they don't have a high station in Jannah. You have to look at things different ways. You can't look at the way the world taught you to look at it. You have to look at it and say that I am a Muslim, ana Muslim, ana mu'min. In the primer classes, I always say this, Adi. Allahu Rabbi. Allah is my Lord. Al-Qur'anu Kitabi. The Quran is my book. Al-Qiblati Kaaba. Al-Kaaba Qiblati. And the Kaaba is my direction that I pray. I take my soul and I bend myself to pray to Allah. That's my direction. That's my orientation. Al-Islamu Dini. And Al-Islam is my religion. This is my way of life. I love it. I want to live it more. I want to know more about it. But what has happened to many people, brothers and sisters, is that many people have, as one Imam mentioned, he said that he met a man, said, man, I give up. He was a dawah, he's a da'i. Man, I give up. I'm just going to go to work. You know, I'm going to work, you know, take care of my family, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, I'm trying to save me some money and, you know, enjoy my life. I don't really, you know, I don't really get into it like that no more. The brother said he took him by the collar. He was his friend. He took him by the collar and said, man, what is wrong with you? That Satan has been so strong in your life that you have the mind to give up and just lay back. You know, you want to lay back and let the world, you in your living room with the window open, the breeze is blowing through your house, and you letting the whole world go by you when you have the 114 surahs that you can be getting yourself involved in. And as Allah says in the hadith, the Prophet Muhammad said in the hadith, He said that when a person passes away and he intends to go inshallah, that Allah wants to elevate that person, that Allah gives him instruction to recite the Quran. And he tells his ibad, recite al-Quran Kareem. And his servant, the servant of Allah, begins to recite. And when he recites or she recites, the more they recite, the more they're elevated in Jannah. The more they recite, the more they're elevated in Jannah. Now, who wouldn't want a life? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what's wrong with these people. They don't want a life where they're going to be elevated to be qareeb lillah, close to Allah in Yawm al-Akhir, but not only in Yawm al-Akhir, because we don't want to make the mistake that others made. You are to be elevated in this life. You are to love Allah and be close to Allah in this life. And know it. Be conscious that you are being elevated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this life and right now. This separates you from the rest of the people, brothers and sisters. It doesn't make you arrogant. It shouldn't make you arrogant. But it certainly separates you from people that are not living or practicing the kind of life that you're living and practicing. It's separate. So I don't want to be above the people. I don't want to be better than. You should want to be better. If you want to be close to Allah and you're following Allah's words, then Allah is going to automatically elevate you. So I don't want to. Well, so sorry. Are you praying to Allah? Making that struggle to pray to Allah every day on time? So, yeah. Well, are you praying all? Are you giving in sadaqah? Well, yeah. Are you taking care of your family, brother? And that's a whole other stuff. I got to get another whole khutbah on that one. A whole khutbah. You got brothers running and ripping and running and crisscrossing Orlando and up and down the north part of the United States, south part of southwest United States, and ripping and running. They don't even want the responsibility. Listen, they don't even want the responsibility of a bicycle. Not to think of a wife. Man, I can't keep no bicycle. You can't keep a bicycle? You can't maintain 2 tires on a bicycle? Well, she certainly don't want you if you can't maintain a bicycle. La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. So what I'm saying is Muslim men are honorable men, Muslim men are noble men, and Muslim women are noble women, and Muslim women are honorable women. Living up to their standards as Khalifa fil ard. This is a very it's practical, but it's a very high standard for all of us. So, alhamdulillah. So get down off of your stallion iman. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات كانت لهم جنة الفردوس نزلا. Indeed, those who have believed, you've been believing. No one has taken you off of your path. No one was able to knock you off and push you over off the Sirat al-Mustaqim. Allahu Akbar. Look at you. You're in the Jumah prayer. No one was able to kick you and nudge you and tell you, man, you need to quit. I don't know whatever I do to somebody, they walk up to me and tell me something like that. I don't know. I may have to come out of retirement. And they don't want to see that part. I don't either. So Allah says, for you, lahum. And it's so beautiful, it's not just jannatu. The Arabiya says, jannatul. You hear that? Jannatul Firdausa or Firdausi. That your condition will be inundated. You will be impressed by Firdaus, the highest station will engross you. Nuzulan, as a lodging place. Who wouldn't want that? Brothers and sisters, steer away from the mysteries of the world, and steer away from the things that vex us in the world, and go close to those things that keep us in our taqwa state. That you know, even though you're doing business, even though you may be in school, whatever it is, the lesson you're in academia, whatever you're doing, take care of the family, sisters taking care of everything, brothers taking care of everything, all of that. While you're doing all of that, keep Allah wet on your tongue, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And stay close and stay conscious of Allah, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير. آمين. إقامة الصلاة إن شاء الله.